Hi all, my name is Arbel Dolev and I'm a Senior Director of Customer Success at Centrical. With me today is one of our customers who won the Captain Award at our annual Customer Select Awards. This award is celebrating organizations that have mastered leadership and coaching. And today we are going to talk about what's so special about their program and why they earned this award. Before we get started, Melissa, Olivia, can you introduce yourself? Share a little bit about the company, your role, which area of business has implemented Centrical?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, my name is Melissa Eaglestone. I've worked for Currys now for 12 years. My role as of late has actually been what we call gamification champion. So I was a team manager, and then I was asked about 4 months ago to step into the role of leading the Centrical platform within our company, and really making sure that we use as much as we can out of this resource and get all of our agents engaged as well as our leadership staff.
And I'm Olivia Linham. I'm an outbound sales team manager in the telesales area of Currys. So we use Centrical on a daily basis, and it really is a hub for everything that I do with my team. So it's been a brilliant tool for us.
So to give you a bit of a rundown of our company and what we do. So you perhaps know Currys as a brand, but we're actually quite I wouldn't say necessarily small part of the business, but really a key part of our call centre part of the business. We focus on mobile sales within this office, and that is the area that has really taken on board Centrical and where our focus has been. We also have our Currys Inbound department as well, which launched very recently. So they deal with sort of telesales for anything going through our web processes. So if customers want to purchase, they're looking online and they want that little kind of friendly voice at the end of the phone, we have that department as well that also uses Centrical. But I say mobile sales is a really big part of our business. So we've got our inbound, we've got our outbound, and we also have our additional service as well, which is our CSA department. We've all sorts of parts of this business. We've got our own marketing for mobiles.co.uk, lots of little things that happen within this office. But I say when it comes to Centrical, what we've really focused on is our mobile sales colleagues.
Amazing. All right, so how about we get started? And first and foremost, I'm interested to understand what brought Currys to Centrical. What were you facing that you wanted to address through Centrical and that you'd hope would give you an answer to a problem you were facing?
So we've had Centrical now we're coming up to 2 years. So it's about a 2-year anniversary this month actually, so November. And we've done a great job of launching the platform within our business. So when we first brought it on board, we really wanted to up our engagement levels, because engagement is a key part of especially call centre sales, because we've got colleagues that they're working really hard on their sales, on their targets, but we wanted to kind of give them a bit of control into their own performance, because previously, if an agent wanted to see where they were tracking on their performance, they were kind of relying on their manager sharing those stats. And whilst our managers are great at doing that, so daily and weekly, and then giving them kind of a monthly overview and things as well, we wanted to put that control kind of into the agent's hands, so they can see, okay, right, I might be dropping in this area. What can I do already myself to address that? But a key part of Centrical to us was gamifying the experience. Incentivizing is really essential when it comes to a sales job role. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning. Sometimes it's like, right, how can I push myself that bit further to get that extra reward? How can I do my best out of just my everyday? It's really putting that control into the agent to choose where they want to go and what they want to do. And that was, I suppose, one of the key things that we were looking at when we were bringing Centrical on board. But as I said, we've had this for about 2 years now. So what part of our activity was really to see how much of this resource are we using? Are we taking full advantage of it? Our agents know about it, they're logging into it, they can see their performance, but are they using all of the gamifying experiences from, understanding the value of leveling up, understanding what they could get from receiving and sending kudos, also integrating from challenges, and getting the reward through our Centrical store. So we have implemented using a Currys branded store with Currys coins, and that's been, you know, one of the biggest successes that we've had over the last 2 years, is changing all of our rewards to primarily funnel through that store. So agents are now getting to the idea of, okay, if I push myself in this area, oh, I can earn a Currys coin, I can buy this thing. So yeah, that was what we were looking at, is, are we using this as much as we possibly can? Is there more we can do to get the value out of this? That's where we started, essentially.
Okay, and I know that 2 years ago that was the focus area. And I know that as you've grown in your use of the platform and as you've matured into using the platform, you've also taken a look at some of the one-on-one processes that you had in the organization and how Centrical could potentially affect those. Do you want to give me some background on that?
Yeah, so obviously, as you mentioned, we started with Centrical with the clear goal of being able for advisors to visualize their performance. And as it developed and as it grew, we kind of moved a lot of our documentation and things that we were doing outside of Centrical into the system. So we began by moving our one-to-ones into there, which was just a simple form that we would fill out each month, but it would be a detailed conversation with our advisors. We discussed their performance, their well-being, anything that they felt they needed to develop on. So it was very easy for us to move it, but the transition for the actual people side of things was a little bit more difficult. But it did then mean that advisors can go back and review their documents all in one place. So previously we would fill it out in a Word document, we'd send it over on a Teams approval, we'd then upload the document and the Teams approval to a file, and then that would be what would be reviewed. Whereas now the advisors can just go into their own section on Centrical and review their one-to-ones, and they can really see how they're progressing. We've also utilised now our coaching documents through Centrical. So our grad-based scheme, which is our launch pad to growing our new advisors, is 12-week kind of area where they spend their time training up and becoming tenured advisors. They started using Centrical for their coaching, where they would, instead of having again another separate document and more things to upload and more things to move around, they'd actually be able to put their coaching through Centrical. That also means that their new advisors, it's allowed them to really uptake their information a lot quicker, and it is a great referral point for them. Obviously, being a new person in a new job, there's a lot of information to take in. We've all been there. And that has really meant that they have something that they can go back to, rather than constantly having to rely on asking the trainers again or asking people around them that could be and giving them incorrect answers. They've just got that one place where they can go back to where that information is stored. So I think that's really been a massive impact, and it's seen an increase in our revenue and in the uptake of our information that the people have been getting. We've been getting better quality scores in terms of our call recordings. Everything's been more on point, so it's really benefited. And now we've started to roll that out within the wider business as well. So we understand that GradBay have used it really well. They've really taken on board everything that they need to with it, and kind of grasped it. So we've now moved that out into other areas of the business, so we can start using it as management teams for tenured advisors as well to refer back to.
Yeah, because we started really well with implementing what you'd call kind of the micro coaching. So sending the actions, which we customized it on Centrical to align with our company values. So we put our own custom template up there. So when a manager sends out a micro coaching action, they can choose any of those values and sort of give a bit of a comment and a nudge, which is great. And it's great for on the spot feedback. But what we weren't doing was using kind of the longer form coaching. So team managers were doing this outside of the platform by using our templates that like Word documents and then uploading them to our other systems. So the coaching was being done and done very well, but it was being done outside of the platform. So our team managers were almost kind of duplicating their work, because they do a long form coaching for maybe half an hour from the radio when they'd have that in-depth conversation. They'd maybe pull up a call recording and listen to it and give feedback. And then later on, they might be kind of doubling up on their coaching by sending a micro coaching on Centrical and maybe awarding kudos, which is great when those things work hand in hand, because it's a good example of how Centrical was integrating into our business. But the objective was like, well, how can we funnel it all through Centrical then, rather than having our team managers to kind of do work in different areas? If an agent can see their performance and their improvement through the platform and how they've performed in a longer form, we want to keep it in that one place, so Centrical becomes the kind of one-stop shop for everything. And that's where we started to use the custom evaluation forms. It started with our one-to-ones, so we customized one of those and put those on the system. And then it's moved on to coaching evaluation forms, which is the longer form, where we've got custom templates where it's got space for the call recording to give the feedback and the comments. So rather than the team manager sit there and do the Word document and go, we did this well, that well, and have the conversation, we're doing it live on Centrical with them right there and then, so they can see the feedback, and then the agent goes into their login area, can go, oh, okay, we've just had that session, I can see it already, and the team manager can attach the kudos and the comments straight away there and then, rather than having to do it later.
Amazing. So it seems like you've taken a process that was manual, a process that was in a lot of different areas of your organization, and you really centralized it into Centrical, and then layered it so that you have micro coaching, long form coaching, and the one-on-ones recorded right into Centrical. That to me is a fantastic way to use the platform. I love it.
It's really helped us open that communication link with our agents, because they have their monthly one-to-ones, but they also have every quarter a connect, a line, those sorts of sessions where they're kind of showing their performance on a 6-month period, and to have those discussions of, so what's your career aspirations, where do you want to go, what do you want to do, or like a check-in to see how they're doing within their job role. But previously we would have sent them the one-to-one, and they've got to kind of look for it on, like Olivia said, like Teams, email, we've got to find it. Hang on a minute, we talked about this last month. What were my actions last month? Oh, I can't remember. I've got to find them, but they're there straight away. So it's now the responsibility is kind of more on the agent to go, okay, well, I've got a spare couple of minutes. Let me just have a quick look through my previous actions, because it's on Centrical, it's there. It's quicker for them to access it, rather than maybe having to ask their team manager to perhaps forward them that email from a month ago, which, we're all incredibly busy. Sometimes we're managing quite a few people in a team. Someone asks you something quickly, you're like, oh, yes, I would. And then it gets a bit, oh, hang on, and it gets sent a bit later. But, if the agent's thinking about it there and then, you want to jump on that straight away, because they're showing the intent that they're paying attention to their own performance and their own development.
I love that. But you touched on something that I want to focus on for a second, because this is a change. It really is. For the team leaders, perhaps making their lives so much easier because everything is in one place, but also for the agents. How did the teams react to this change from an agent perspective and from a team leader perspective?
You'll have a really good insight to that.
I'd say specifically for my advisors anyway, the more tenured advisors that Centrical wasn't necessarily here when they began have really, really grasped it. And especially I think the challenges that we've been doing, like inter-team challenges, head-to-head, things like that, really helped early doors to grasp people's attention with it and really get them invested within the platform, because everybody in sales loves a challenge. Everyone loves one. And setting that up early doors was something that happened pretty much as soon as we launched the platform, and it allowed people to become very invested in it very early on. So these small changes that we've implemented, obviously they are large changes, but they've come in bite-sized chunks. So things like the one-to-ones, it's the same form, but we've just made it Centrical. So they know where to look for it, because they've already understood how to use the platform to the best of its ability. And now it's just, drip feeding them the little bits of moving things from one place to another. I'd say it's been a positive impact for anyone with the one-to-ones, especially because, like Mel said, you can go back and review things, and especially with these where you set actions for people, you want them to grow in a certain way, and you say, I want you to do X, Y, and Z by the time we have our next meeting. But in an hour's time, when they've taken another 20 phone calls, they've forgotten what X and Y were, and maybe they can just about remember what Z was. So having that in a location where they can access it at all times really helps keep the information fresh with people. And as far as the coaching goes, our newer advisors obviously receive more coaching than our tenured people. And they've come into the business with Centrical being in their face all the time, which is brilliant because it's allowed them to review their coaching, as I mentioned before, and really sort of grasp the information a little bit more. So they've had it from day dot and they understand the process of the coaching and everything being on there. For the more tenured advisors, I think again it's worked in the same way as one-to-ones. They've gone from having to locate everything that they've received to, you know, if they're having a bad day, I don't have to go through the document with them again because they can go and find it themselves, read through it and give themselves a bit of a refresher without my input needed. So not only has it saved time with my documentation and the accuracy in storing everything in one place, but it's also helped, you know, me manage my time in a sense of I don't necessarily need to have them off as much because that information's right in front of them.
It wasn't just a straight up change, was it? So it's been a whole picture. So it hasn't just been one thing, like with our one-to-ones that we put in there. The one-to-ones were hand in hand with launching regular challenges as well. So like Olivia was saying, yes, Centrical's been there, but it's more kind of in your face in a way, because it's not just that I go to the platform to get my one-to-ones. It's also, I've got a challenge going on in my team or my department this month. I'm going to check in on that challenge because I'm interested, because I'm maybe in the top 3 and I want to know where I am today because I did I did really well yesterday. I want to see where I am. Or maybe one of my colleagues in my team is having an absolute smashing week and I can see that they're getting there in that top 3 and I really want to cheer them on and I want to, you know, give them that shout out to go, oh, you're doing great, things like that as well. So perhaps whilst they're looking at that challenge and going, oh, you know, this is around, you know what, whilst I'm here, I'll have a quick look at my one-to-ones, but also let me have a look at my missions, because missions are linked to challenges as well. There's learning resources on there that we've used. So it's kind of a whole picture. One-to-ones have just been a part of it, and having those other elements in at the same time has really helped agents and managers completely embrace the change. Olivia, you were saying that it's helped with your time, stop kind of duplicating your work. But how we rolled that out was first and foremost making sure that everyone was on the same page. But we rolled out training with managers so they knew about it before it was launched. They understood what was needed to fill out the form, what changes there were, what could be customised, how to go through the conversation. What was really beneficial is we overhauled our one-to-one forms, I think about a year ago anyway, and the quality that we had in our Word document was really high. So just being able to mirror that on Centrical meant that because our team managers had this resource already and were already familiar with it, it was just a change of putting it somewhere else, but they were already confident with using it. And moving on to Centrical meant that the confidence was still there, but actually maybe perhaps even more confidence because the stats that they needed to fill out their one-to form are in Centrical. Whereas before, you were having to go to here, there, get it all together, where it's right there in Centrical, and it's a great time saver.
Fantastic. And I think you've done a few spectacular things here. You've empowered, right, agents and team leaders. And the way that you rolled it out actually really represents this category of the Select Awards that you've won, right? The captain. You've trained your team leaders. You've enabled them to be able to use this process to deliver even more effective coachings and evaluations and one-to-ones and all of that good stuff. Now, I know that you've alluded to this throughout a little bit, but I want you to see if you can detail a little bit more how you measured the success of the change. And it was, it was a change of taking a disembodied process, right, that's in different places into Centrical, what the impact of that has been.
So we have, when our managers are conducting one-to-ones, that's a requirement for them to do every month for each agent, right? We actually have a process where these are checked. So we went to our TNC team and we're like, right, okay, we want this process to now go through this platform instead of the other platform or other avenue. Can we get sign off to do that? And it was yes, it was go ahead. So we did the checks first to make sure that was okay. So it was a matter really of just saying to that team, right, okay, instead of checking here, check here, and giving that team the power to look into Centrical as well. So the individuals that are checking up on this documentation, they have the same admin rights. So they're not restricted on Centrical. They can go in and check as well. So they were able to measure if the one-to-ones were being completed on time, check the quality of the documents, the same measures that they would have had previously, but it's actually brought in an improvement. So say you've got a team of like 8 agents, but 2 of those agents are not present during that month for various reasons. Previously, our T&C team would need to kind of track back and go, right, okay, what was the reason why this didn't happen? Why is it, you know, why is it not in their folder? Why is it not there? Oh, hang on, has it been put? They was having to do some investigation work of, has it been maybe put in another agent's folder? What's happened to it? Is there an issue? But they can just see in Centrical straight away, was this one-to-one evaluation form applied? Yes or no? Because they gave the power to the team manager to apply the form manually. So you can go through your agents this month and say, right, I know this many agents are in, I've got their one-to-ones booked in, and you can just go through and go apply, apply, apply. Oh, these 2 agents aren't in. I'm not applying that form for this month because I know they're on annual leave or whatever. So that streamlined that, and it's meant that our T&C team just know straight away, okay, there's a reason those 2 agents weren't applied a one-to-one for that month, and they can see it. They can see in the back end reporting on Centrical as well. They can pull the analytics at any time, and they were able to measure if every agent that was meant to have the one-to-one applied had it. So it was a much easier process for them to just go through and go, right, let me just pull this report and go, yeah, this agent, rather than having to go through in and out of agent folders and go, has this person been done? Tick, tick, tick. It's shorter the amount of time they have to spend, which is a monumental success, if you ask me, really, because if you're saving any time, that's always a benefit.
Absolutely.
And we've seen an uplift in the time being saved for that team. We've also seen an improvement in the quality of conversations with using the form on Centrical, because the stats are right there, as I've said. And it's meant that, I say, agents are more receptive to the feedback that they get in those sessions as well. But I don't know if you want to give any insight as well into how you feel the measure of success.
I do feel like I resonate with what you're saying about the coaching. I do feel like having it in that one place, like I said before, is really beneficial for people being able to refer back and absorb knowledge without necessarily needing a peer or a manager there to really, you know, provide them with it again. So the way that people can just look back and go into detail with things that have already happened without having to spend however long searching through everything. But it also means that, say, for example, for myself, I know I need to do 10 one-to-ones, 12 one-to-ones in a month, right? So the first day of the month, I'll go through and I'll check everyone's schedules and see, say, for example, if I've got someone off the whole month, and like Mel said, I'll assign to the people that need it doing. It's also a great way of me keeping track whose one-to-ones I've done as well. So I don't have to now use my massive Excel spreadsheet with everyone's schedules on and dates and times, or my email calendar or anything like that to see what I've done, what I've uploaded, what I've got the approvals for, where it's all stored. That's 4 different things that I've cut off just by having it on Centrical, because I can go in the one-to-one, type it up at the same time, side-by-side exercise, type it up, upload it, and by the time they've got back to their desk, that is already in their inbox. And I know then that that's done because it says completed. And that just saves me so much hassle, so many spreadsheets. It's just all in one place.
I think the measure is a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Because you know that it's saving your time.
For sure. And none of us miss those massive Excel spreadsheets. None of us. No, absolutely not. So there's time savings from a TNC perspective, and then it sounds like there's hours of savings from a team leader perspective as well.
Yeah, there's more time to speak one-on-one with your agents then, isn't there?
Yeah.
So you know, I've come from a team manager background, so I've been in Olivia's position very recently until I moved to looking after Centrical work. So I know the benefit of sometimes just sitting side by side with your agent, and you might not necessarily be talking about work, you might be having a conversation about something else, but that's a connection, right? That's that human connection that we all love and we all need sometimes. So the more time to do that sometimes is really beneficial, rather than every interaction being with your colleague, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right. We want to celebrate the success at the same time as well, but we want them to recognise that we are people for them to come to if they've got any problems to talk to and to have fun with as well. You know, we want to have fun at work. We want to enjoy ourselves when we're here, and putting more time into that so that we can have that kind of personal relationship is really, really beneficial. Because whilst you're having that conversation where you talk about, you know, having to talk about something else, you go, oh, actually, I've noticed that you've taken this last call and it didn't go very well. You know, how are you feeling? What's happened? You know, should we talk about it? And it opens more doors.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. The human connection cannot be overstated how important it is. Now, I happen to know that, as you mentioned, you not just launched these coachings and these long form coachings, but you also used that opportunity to also launch the challenges. And I know that you've seen some measurable impact there as well, if you want to share that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, this has been a whole kind of a whole picture that we've funneled into this over the last couple of months. So we were using challenges before, but every department was kind of responsible for their own, and the senior in that department would be like, right, okay, we want a Centrical challenge this month, and they would throw it out to their agents in that team and say, okay, what KPI do we want to focus on? Someone come up with an idea for me for an incentive, but let's use Centrical, let's make the most of this platform. But there wasn't much kind of a structure going into that. There wasn't a lot of guidance. So we would set up a challenge, but we wouldn't be measuring really what we'll be putting into that challenge. So if we would be allocating our Currys coins as a reward and the cost behind those, we weren't really measuring what were we driving, what revenue were we gaining from having these challenges. So what we've done over the last couple of months is we have implemented regular challenges in almost every sales department. And part of that, and part of my role, is going to the senior of each area every month and saying, okay, what do you want to focus on? Where's your pain points? What do you want to hone in on? Is it learning? So could it be that we apply missions that link in with these challenges? So an agent has to perform on this challenge, but also they have to do the accompanied learning to help them. So if we're driving, say, accessories attached in one area, we could put some accessories coaching on as a mission as well, because we're not just saying do this, we're saying do this and here's the resource to do it as well. So we're filling in that knowledge gap. So it's getting that feedback from the seniors of that area and saying, right, okay, what is it? Because it's getting their input right and saying, what do you want? Not just this is what we're going to do. And also asking them what works well, what hasn't worked well, getting the regular feedback, and then giving structure to those challenges. So regular comms, we have emails, Teams messages, notifications on Centrical. We also have our live wallboards across the office as well, where we've done some live comms where we'll have, this is the challenge for this month, this is a reward, this is the area it's relevant for, some leaderboards as well. And of course, with challenges, agents can go in live and see. They can log in and go, right, this is where I am, this is where my team is. One of our most successful challenges that we did after doing a 2-week pilot scheme first, because we wanted to see how it would land, we thought, right, okay, let's go all in, let's do something we've never done before. And across department, we did team versus team. So different sales areas, different KPIs, different metrics. With the support of Centrical, we did a team versus team knockout. So it was 15 teams over 4 weeks down to one team who won a share of 500 Currys coins. And competition was tough because we're all competitive, right? We really love to win. So we had this challenge that went on, we had teams knocked out, we had one department against the other, where we're very good at communicating each other's performance, but you know, we know this one area is doing really well, but this area is doing really well as well. And what was interesting, you would have a team that has maybe got like 4 people in it in a department that's quite small, versus a team that's got a department that's got maybe like 50, and they're head to head because the performance of the smaller department is outshining them, because, you know, perhaps we've not realized before how amazing this smaller area does. It really put that on the platform as well, so that everyone could see across the business. It was great at linking everyone and saying, look, you all use Centrical, but now you're all using it together. Look at what's happening. Everyone, we had our knockouts, we had our final team winning, and we had a award ceremony in our monthly company recognition where we had a big printed check that we gave them with the 500 Currys coins, and they loved it. So we've kept that up. We've continued that incentivizing for the platform with challenges, continuing the process of every month getting the feedback and going, okay, we did this last month, how did it go, how can we change it? And then now we're funneling that in with our Black Friday activity as well. So now we're going into a peak period of our business. Those Centrical challenges will become our Black Tag challenges. So agents are now switched onto that period of time, and we'll be swapping to our Black Tag coin rather than our Currys coin. So that's a time sensitive coin, so they can use that for the things. But it's not just been our challenges that we've done, because we have been so successful in implementing those challenges and driving a benefit in revenue as well, because it has demonstrated that it's driven performance in these areas, especially our team versus team. Do
you want to elaborate a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So our manufacturer partners have actually sat up and gone, hang on a minute, we want a slice of this pie. We want to get involved. So we have manufacturers now that have they have their own coins on our store. So we have an incentive with a manufacturer that's just started actually, where agents need to sell certain items, of which they will gain a coin that is branded to that manufacturer. And that is implemented through the KPIs on Centrical. So we set them up so that they automatically allocate the coins versus what the agents sell. And that's linking in with our reporting team. So they create the report on the interfaces for us, and we work together to get that pumped in. So we don't have to do it automatically through the rules engine every time, because you can imagine if there's a lot of coins floating around, that's going to be a lot of time. So that's all automatic. The agents get allocated these coins, and in our Centrical store, these manufacturers have their own items branded within the store where agents can spend those specific coins. We have a lot of prizes going on this month, especially, and manufacturers put a lot of money into incentives because they've seen the benefit of us driving it through the platform. So I say agents can either buy an item straight away from the store, and there's only so many in stock, so it's a first come first serve, or for very big ticket items, they can buy a raffle entry through the store as well. And then we'll run a raffle at the end of the month to go, this person's bought like 10 raffle tickets on this item. So they've got the 10 entries. And we've had things like people have won phone handsets, very expensive weekend bags. I think you won as well, actually, because you had a team manager one as well.
On the phone.
Yeah.
We've got people that win like Airbnb vouchers, Uber Eats vouchers, Just Eat vouchers, those kinds of things. And you come out with tablets, you come out with bags, smart clocks, anything that you can think of pretty much that we would provide in this building. I think someone won an air fryer.
Yeah, Brad, air fryer. We've had PlayStation 5s.
Yeah.
Someone's bought a PlayStation 5 through the Centrical store through earning, and that was a combination of like the challenges and also the separate manufacturer activity as well. But that, just goes to show what drives people, because they love a bit of tech, they love a bit of swag, and they can give us the feedback and say, do you know what, I really like Airbnb vouchers. So we can put them on the store. We can go and speak to our manufacturers and go, do you want to incentivize our agents to sell this certain item, put an Airbnb voucher on it? And they'll go, yeah, bingo. And that gets people talking and gets people excited. So there is a lot that's happened, and it's really ramped up, especially over the last year, to get that manufacturer input, because they're kind of switched onto it now. They've seen it in action and they've seen the benefit of it. So they're starting to put in funding as well for us, and we can implement them. And it's not just the challenges, it's the learning materials as well. If there's a new product launch, they can send us the learning resources straight away, and we can put them as missions. And that, is great for the agents straight away. We've just had an iPhone launch this year. On launch weekend, we put mission content on there straight away, so the agents felt confident on what they were selling. And it was very, very quick to react.
it sounds phenomenal. It sounds that you are using a lot of different abilities of the Centrical platform to drive a lot of impact throughout your organization in different streams, if you will, right? So an uplift in revenue, an uplift in quality scores, an uplift in engagement and overall well-being of the agents and the team leaders, time being saved, all of that good stuff. Now the question that remains is, what's next? What are you hoping to achieve next using the Centrical platform?
What we wanted to achieve really is to continue the good stuff, because we're definitely on to, we've hit the magic formula almost now, and we want to keep going with it. We want to strike whilst the iron's hot kind of thing. But Centrical is a huge platform, right? There's so many things on it that can be used that, again, we're still not using. So one of our drives is to give more power to team managers. So Olivia, you recognise sending kudos, and also sending your micro coaching
and badges as well.
Yes, so that's exactly, we want to unlock things so that you can give your own badges, so custom badges for shout outs. We also want to unlock things like contributions. So within our team structure, so do you want to talk about how kind of your team leads work?
So within my team, we obviously have myself, who is actually managing everyone, but then there's a couple of people that I give responsibility to off the back of potentially feedback for themselves. So say, for example, I've got an advisor who's behind on conversion, right? And what I will then do is leave them in charge of sending out the Centrical leaderboard to my team for their conversion. And that really, it helps them own it, because they're in charge of something. Why are they going to be wanting to be at the bottom? They're obviously going to want to be at the top if they're the one that's owning it and sending it out. So that's something that I utilise at the moment. And I think if we look at sort of implementing that further, that would be a real benefit to people to drive that competition. But also, I mean, we had a brilliant example of it this morning where with the challenge that's running at the minute within Outbound Mobiles, which is my department, one of the lads came up to me this morning going, Liv, I'm 4 sales off the top person on this challenge. And he was getting really annoyed that he was only 4 sales off winning. And that just drove so much competition between the group that I think it was.
Yeah, so they're responsible for being aware of their own performance, but we want to unlock that further. So Olivia's got people that she trusts within her team to help coach agents who perhaps are less tenure. Olivia has agents on her team that she can trust to help mentor some of her agents who are perhaps struggling or are newer to the business. And we tend to call those team leads. Sometimes they're individuals that are wanting to progress through their career as well. And part of having those regular one-to-one conversations is identifying those colleagues who could be put on that progression pathway. Sometimes they might not even recognise it themselves. It doesn't always come to the agent saying directly to you, oh, I really want to progress, or I really want to do more outside of my role. It's about, recognising talent and encouraging it and nurturing it. So how we want to do that is turning on contributions within the platform. So those agents who we would call kind of team leads, we can give them that responsibility so they can start mentoring through the platform, sharing their experience and their best practices within their teams or maybe within their departments. We have a very successful succession and development course within this office. So these are agents that go on a course for a couple of weeks where they have to apply for it and they do a presentation at the end. We teach them in those couple of weeks what it takes to kind of progress up maybe to a team manager role. That's a course that I actually went on about 6 years ago myself. So it's something that's very well integrated into our company. We want to bring those resources and put them onto Centrical. So if an agent is on the pathway on that succession development course, we can just automatically allocate them the learning material via missions. So it's there for them. A really, really good example of using the platform and kind of encouraging agents to do things outside of their BAU and think about what else they can contribute. is we have had an agent who was using the platform, and she was really keen on it, really understood it, and she put together some user guides within her department on how to do things on the system that would help new colleagues in her team. And she actually requested, said, look, can we get these added to Centrical? So they've now been added as essential knowledge hubs for agents based off the guides that she put together. She's now progressed into a manager role very recently as well, and that was because she recognised that she could share her knowledge and she could do it through Centrical, and that's what we really want to hone in on as we go into the future and we look ahead, and we want to unlock a bit more of agents who want to do more but also give more to team managers as well. So we are looking at using the Centrical AI, so you get your own recommendations on where to hone in on your coaching. As I said, manager badges as well, but also looking at manager action KPIs as well. So managers can have sort of a measure of their performance a bit more visually, and see how they're tracking. There's lots and lots that we can do that we haven't done, but the main thing I would say is keeping up the success, keeping up the consistency, and keeping up the message that Centrical is the go-to and is completely integrated into our business. So when an agent comes in the morning and they log onto their laptop, they know they've got X, Y, and Z system to do their actual job, but also Centrical is included in that list. So it's there and it's the forefront of their mind when they log in at the beginning of the morning and at the end of the day, so they can track their performance and receive their reward and recognition, so they can see themselves improve, move up leaderboards, move up the levels, gain badges, gain kudos, see their name in lights, and feel a further sense of reward at the end of the day.